the Wars of the Roses. Welcome to our channel. Today, we embark on a journey through one of the most tumultuous periods in English history, the Wars of the Roses. Spanning from 1455 to 1487, these civil wars between the rival houses of Lancaster and York fundamentally reshaped the monarchy and political landscape of England. 1485, in English history, the series of dynastic civil wars whose violence and civil strife preceded the strong government of the Tudors, fought between the houses of Lancaster and York for the English throne. The wars were named many years afterward from the supposed badges of the contending parties, the White Rose of York and the Red Rose of Lancaster. How did the Wars of the Roses get their name? The Wars of the Roses were fought between the houses of Lancaster and York for the English throne. The wars were named many years afterward from the supposed badges of the contending parties, the White Rose of York and the Red Rose of Lancaster. Both houses claimed the throne through descent from the sons of Edward III. What caused the Wars of the Roses? In the mid-15th century, great magnates with private armies dominated the English countryside. Lawlessness was rife and taxation burdensome. Henry VI experienced spells of madness and was dominated by his queen, Margaret of Anjou. In 1453, when Henry lapsed into insanity, a powerful baronial clique installed Richard, Duke of York, as protector of the realm. Henry recovered in 1455, re-establishing the authority of Margaret's party. York took up arms, starting the Wars of the Roses. How were the Wars of the Roses finally resolved? Henry Tudor, later Henry VII, defeated and killed Richard III at Bosworth Field on August 22, 1485, bringing the Wars of the Roses to a close by his marriage to Edward IV's daughter, Elizabeth of York, in 1486. Henry united the Yorkist and Lancastrian claims. Henry defeated a Yorkist rising supporting the pretender Lambert Simnel on June 16, 1487, a date that some historians prefer over the traditional 1485 for the termination of the wars. The Wars of the Roses were rooted in a complex web of political intrigue, familial rivalries, and claims to the English throne. On one side stood the House of Lancaster, symbolized by the Red Rose, and on the other, the House of York, symbolized by the White Rose. The conflict began during the reign of King Henry VI of the House of Lancaster, whose rule was marred by instability and weak governance. Sensing an opportunity, Richard, Duke of York, asserted his claim to the throne, igniting the first sparks of war. The Wars of the Roses officially commenced with the Battle of St Albans in 1455, where Yorkist forces, led by Richard, Duke of York, achieved a decisive victory over the Lancastrians. King Henry VI was captured, marking the start of open hostilities. Over the next decades, the conflict ebbed and flowed through a series of brutal battles. In 1461, Edward, son of Richard, Duke of York, cemented the Yorkist claim to the throne with a decisive victory at the Battle of Towton. Becoming King Edward IV, the involvement of Richard Neville, Earl of Warwick, known as the Kingmaker, added a layer of complexity to the wars. Warwick initially supported Edward IV, but later switched allegiance to the Lancastrians, briefly restoring Henry VI to the throne in 1470. The Wars of the Roses saw tragic outcomes, including the executions of prominent figures such as Richard, Duke of York, and Edward of Westminster, the Lancastrian heir, following their defeats in battle. The conflict culminated in the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485, where Henry Tudor, representing the Lancastrians, defeated King Richard III. The last Yorkist king, Henry Tudor ascended the throne as King Henry VII, marrying Elizabeth of York to unite the warring houses. under the Tudor, Rose symbolized a new era of peace and stability in England. The Wars of the Roses, while devastating, laid the groundwork for the Tudor dynasty, marking the end of medieval England and the beginning of early modern history. The Wars of the Roses left an indelible mark on English history, reshaping the monarchy and paving the way for a new era. If you found this journey through history informative, please like, subscribe, and comment on what historical topics you'd like us to explore next.